session for TOPPS, which again stands for Transforming Online Pedagogy and Practice Symposium, and the library has been gracious enough to let them be the last session of TOPPS. Amy has a great presentation planned today on Zotero, which is a new tool, a relatively new tool that the library has. I've been through Amy's presentation before, so I know it's incredibly informative. Thank you so much for joining us today, Amy.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Hi, everybody.
Take it away, and thank you so much for joining us today.
All right. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for inviting me. I'm going to share my screen real quick. All right, so yes, so today we're here to talk about Zotero. Just a little bit about Zotero. Well, first of all, a little bit about me. I'm Amy. I'm the head of Research, Outreach, and Instruction at the University Libraries, also the liaison to the School of Education. And yeah, we're here to talk about Zotero today, which is an open source citation management tool. So hopefully this is something that you'll find useful. Just to give you a little bit of information about what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about setting up an account. We're going to talk about how to actually download Zotero to your computer. We're going to talk really quickly through some of the features of Zotero, talk about how to add content, and then how to integrate with Word, which is usually people's favorite part. So I want to make sure that we get to that. Just a couple of disclaimers before we get started. So I have a PC. I'm a PC person. I don't use Macs. I'm not really comfortable with Macs, but some of my colleagues are. So if you use a Mac, this is for you also. But if you have questions after today, you can let me know or let your librarian know. And if they're not one of those Mac experts, they can point you in the right direction. That leads into my second disclaimer in that this is 30 minutes long, and I'm definitely not going to be able to get into all the finer points of how this works, but your liaison librarian can help you. So please feel free to email your librarian if this is something that interests you and you want some more help in getting it set up and all that. So all of the liaisons are good at Zotero, so please feel free to reach out to them if you have questions. Okay, so that's WebEx. That's not what we're looking for. So what we're going to do first is we are going to visit Zotero.org. And this is where you go to set up your account. Like I said, Zotero is an open source tool, so it is not something UNCG subscribes to, but it's something that the libraries, we compared some tools. We decided that this one was the one that best met the majority of our patrons' needs, and so we decided that this is the one that we would support. So to set up an account, you can go to login and then set up. So you register for an account. You can use any email address you want. You don't have to use your UNCG email because, again, this is not something that UNCG subscribes to. And so you just register for an account. And then after you have done that, it's going to prompt you to download. And probably won't prompt me to download because I already have. There it is. So there are two parts to Zotero. There's what we call the standalone version, which we'll talk about that in just a minute, and there's also a connector that connects Zotero to your browser. In this case, I'm using Chrome currently. It knows I'm using Chrome, so it's going to prompt me to install this Chrome connector. I can't speak for everybody, but I know that I was able to download it on my computer without having to contact IT, so that was good. So anyway, so you download this standalone version, then you also download this connector, and those two things work together to be Zotero. So once you have downloaded it and created your account, then you will have something, well, it won't look exactly like this because mine has a bunch of stuff in it, but this is the standalone version of Zotero. So this is what it looks like once you've downloaded it. Now there's an arrow over here that is a sync arrow. So the good thing about this is that it's cloud-based. Of course, Campus IT subscribes to EndNote, but this one, because it's cloud-based and it's, I don't know, a little bit easier to use, we like it. And it is installed, you can install it on multiple computers and then sync between these multiple computers with your account. So that's a really nice thing about it. It's actually installed on all of the library computers, so you can come to the library, log into your Zotero account, do your research, and then go back to your home computer, and all your stuff is there. So just to give you a little tour of what is happening here on this screen, over here on the left is collections, and this is how you organize your resources. The good thing about these collections is that you can have a resource in multiple collections. So let's say that you are using this both for your own research and for a class you're teaching. Say that you're collecting resources to be used in, resources to post in Canvas for a class, like class readings. You can put one article in multiple places or one book entry in multiple places. But you can see in here, I just have things sorted in all sorts of different ways. We also have this thing that's called unfiled items. Mine is scary because I usually download things when I'm in classes and they end up here. But this is where anything that you don't put in a collection ends up. Another thing that's really nice about Zotero is that, and we're not going to talk about this today, but just know that this is an option, that you can create group libraries, so you can work with other people who have Zotero accounts to create kind of a pooled collection of resources. So I have used this for writing articles and writing book chapters. We can, when constructing a lit review, we can create a group library that everybody can add content to, and then use that to write our literature review. So that's a nice thing as well. Like I said, I'm not going to really talk about it today, but it's there. So then this middle portion, that is where, your articles are. And then over on the right, I click on one of these, you can see this is a book that I have just clicked on. And I can tell that because there's a little blue book icon beside there. And when I click on that, I can see over here all my citation information. So I can see the title, the author, edition, all the citation stuff. One of the things about Zotero is that, based on what type of resource it is, it's going to give you different fields. So right underneath it, I have an article from a public health journal, and you can see the fields here are different. So there's a DOI field, there's a journal field. It tells me, it knows that it's a journal article. So, those fields change based on what type of resource I'm looking at. Let me see if I can find it's a website. So there's a website. It looks a little different. It has the little blue bar at the bottom. And then I also just have some PDFs in here. Oh, there's an audio recording. So there's all types of different resources that you can put in here and be able to cite. So if you want to add a resource manually, which I don't recommend, you won't do this very much, but just so you can see what sorts of things you can include in here, you can see, artwork, computer program, email. So there's all sorts of things that you can include in Zotero to then, cite or use later. And it's very convenient because, again, the fields change based on what you'll need to actually cite that source later on. But like I said, you probably won't add too many things manually, which I think is probably a good thing. So so that's just kind of how the Zotero program looks. So let's talk a little bit about how to get things into Zotero, because that's important. One thing that you can do is, I'm sure that you all have PDFs stored somewhere on your computer of articles. I think we all do. And so if you have those and you say, man, I don't want to go in and enter all of these, all the citation information for all of these articles. Well, you may not have to. So I'm going to take a PDF that I have on my desktop, and I'm going to drag it into Zotero. So I've dragged it into a folder that is called TED class. I used it when I taught a teacher ed class how to do Zotero. And you can see now I have this PDF. It's called Heart of a Teacher. It's an article by Parker Palmer. And So now it's in here, but okay, April, I'll get with you and I'll be there in just a second. If I want to get the citation information, because you can see this looks different, right, than the other things in this folder. What I can do is I can right-click on this, and there is metadata attached to most of the PDFs that you will have. So the metadata is all the information about the PDF. You know, it's what, when you're using a library database, the metadata is what allows you to find search results. So there's an option here that says retrieve metadata for PDF, and if I do that, if I just click on that, it's going to pull out all that metadata, and now I have a full on all of my bibliographic information. Okay, did I answer your question, April? So that works a lot of the time. A couple of times that it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work with older PDFs because, you know, metadata is a relatively recent phenomenon. And it also won't usually work if you have a scan of something unless you've used something that creates metadata. So this is not a perfect solution, but you know, this is an article from, well, it's an article from 1997 and it works. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, so that's one way to get resources into your Zotero account. Now, one thing that I'll tell you about Zotero is that it is considered a freemium service. You know, that's one of those made-up words that we hear. So it is a free service, but you are limited in the amount of storage that you have. So I can't remember how much it is, and I've actually never hit my storage limit, but I know other people who have. If you hit your storage limit, you can either subscribe to additional storage, or you can, you know, there are ways to connect it with Box and other things so that you can store your PDFs externally, but keep all of your citation information inside Zotero. So again, that's something, if you have questions about, if you have hundreds of PDFs that you want to include, you're definitely going to want to talk to your librarian about how to do that. So another way to get resources into your Zotero library is through the library. Of course, you know I was going to talk about the library. So the Zotero actually connects really well with a lot of our databases. So I'm just going to do a quick search in the library catalog. And I'm going to do a search for online learning since that's what we're talking about today. Now, my Zotero plugin is up here at the top. And if you were looking just a second ago, it changed. So this little icon here changes based on the type of thing that we're looking at. So in this case, it actually knows that we're looking at a list of search results. So I can go in here and click on that and add. So this is all of the items that are on this page of search results. So the first 10 items in my search. So I can go in here and select a few of these. Don't want K-12. Okay, I'm just going to pick a few of these. And okay, so now watch the bottom. I think it's the bottom right corner. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. Oh, no, it's up at the top now. They've changed it. So it has added those 4 books to my Zotero library. So let's go find it. There we go. Okay, so it added it to my TED class folder because that's the one that I had open. If I don't have a folder open, it's going to send it to my unfiled items. But because I had that folder open, it sent it there. So now I have, that's a journal. Okay, Handbook of Online Learning. So this is one of the things that I just pulled in, and here's my citation information. So it just knows, you know, it knows that it's books, and it just pulls all the book information in. Now, this is interesting. This may be a journal, so it's not perfect. Sometimes it messes things up, but generally it does a pretty good job. Let's see. Here is a, yeah, so this is a book, and I can see my publisher, my date, and all that kind of information that I will need. Now, the other way to do it is if I just pick one out of this list. I'm going to go to the next page. Culture and online learning, global perspectives and research. So now, again, I have this little book icon up here, and clicking on that will send just this one resource over to Zotero. And this is helpful, of course, if I actually want to look and see what's inside this book before I send it over. So there we go. I can save that one, and now it has saved to my Zotero library as well. So that's really convenient if you are, you know, if you're interested in looking for books on a topic, or resources for your students. And one thing though that you should probably do. So this one, you can see it gives me a URL, but I'm not sure. I might want to go ahead and grab the library specific URL, which I can do by going to view ebook and copying the link and changing it. So the other thing is that you can go in and change all these fields live. So, like I said, sometimes things don't come in exactly right. Or you can see here, for example, I use AP style primarily, and I can see here that this book title, I need to change this capital letter and make that a capital G because of my citation style. So I can do that live, and then it's corrected. And that's really great because when you go into Word and start messing around and start typing things in there, you're going to want to change it in your Zotero library so that your citations are correct. So the other thing I can do is use library databases to find articles. I'm just going to go to one of our broad general databases. I'm going to do a better search than that. There we go. Okay, so again, I have this, as I'm looking at a page of search results, I have this little folder, and I can add anything from this list, or again, I can go in and take a look at one of them, decide, oh, this is really interesting, but I don't know, let's see, hybrid courses, that might be something that's potentially interesting to me. So now I have the little, this is what the journal article icon looks like, so I can click on that, and it's going to send it over to my folder. Now, what it did, you can see here, if I come back over to Zotero, again, it gave me all my citation information, but it also gave me the PDF. Now that is something that you have to enable in the preferences. And again, they do give you the option to disable it in case you don't want to save all your PDFs in here because of the storage limit. But that's your choice, and you can go into the preferences and fix that. But it is nice that it automatically pulls in the PDF. So it will only do that if the PDF is actually inside this database. So if it's one of those things that says linked full text, it will give you a link back to that page, but it won't give you the PDF automatically. But it's pretty quick and easy to do. I think that it's gotten very straightforward and user friendly to get all this quickly added to your library. So about getting things, so either your own books from the articles from library databases. Okay, Amy, do you have any questions?
Hi. Hey, so you mentioned weren't sure of the limit, but you haven't hit the limit. So
in here somewhere. Let's see, because oh yeah, there you go. Remember my username and password.
Okay.
I feel like I use it and book chat also for training purposes, and I haven't hit my storage limit. A colleague, her dissertation, or who's collecting resources for her dissertation, who has scans of things, has hit. So it's fairly generous, but again, as a book project or something like that, you may,
So let's say I hit it.
See if I can.
What kind of, if I decided to pay for more, what's the price on that?
Remembered it.
Okay.
Usually I kind of, I forget under pressure. But so let's see. It looks like it is unlimited for $120 a year, or you can get 2 extra gigs for $20 a year. Very reasonable. And it tells me looking like one is that actually the group really makes sense to me, but I guess this is the way it is. It counts against everybody. So that's one potential issue with that, but I don't know. Anyway, like I said, I have been using it, I think, for 6 or 7 years, approximately half my storage, and I could very easily go in and clean out quite a bit. So yeah, but like I said, I have with professors to connect it to Box, and so you basically get a Box link and you add that to your citation entry. It just connects it out to TOPPS, which we have access to through the university. Yes, you're welcome. Okay. So any other questions? Okay, well now we'll move on to the thing that everybody usually gets very excited about, which is how to get things out of Zotero and into Word. So I'm going to open up a Word document, and when you download Zotero, the standalone, you may notice the next time you open Word that you now have a tab that says Zotero. And there, if you click on that, you can see some options. You can come in and change a citation. So, I think recently, but at one point there were something like 1,700 citation styles that are included in Zotero. Some, there's the big ones, so APA, MLA, Chicago, Turabian, those, and then there's, Cell and Nature. See, there's Nature. So you can go in, it gives you kind of this short list, but and add other ones based on what, the ones for your field. So, I have yet to a citation style that's not included in here, but I'm sure that there are more because every journal little quirky special citation. So that's fun. So like I said, they are covered, and we can go into our Zotero Standalone and select the set I want to show up in that list. So let's say I'm gonna write a paper right here in front of everybody. Okay, so let's see, it's gonna be a really good paper. Okay, so I have written a sentence, and now I need to add a citation to it. So there's an option here that says Add Edit Citation. And so here is a search box, and so I need to know something about the thing that I'm citing. So I'm just going to type in online learning. And so all the things that I just added to my library that were about online learning are popping up as possibilities. So I'm going this one. And so now you can see here's something that looks like an in-text citation. So if I click on, or if I hit enter, it pops up as a citation. I feel really good about these papers that I write here in these sessions. Let's see. Nope, I accidentally, there we go. I got excited with my clicking. I know, this is really good stuff that I write. Okay, so now I have some citations. This is great. I'm done with my paper. Now I want to add my bibliography. So there's an option up here at the top that says Insert Bibliography. Amy, I dislike typing in front of other people, and I'm a librarian, which is not great. So I can see here some citations, and I can also see some problems, which, like I said before, I can fix in Zotero. So I'm not going to fix all the problems right now, but I will point out it did put them in alphabetical order, which is really nice, and I really appreciate it. But I'm going to go in, again, I'm using APA, which uses sentence case. I'm going to go into this Chingos article and fix I'm not going to fix all of them in the interest of time, but you know what I'm trying to do here. And then I'm going to go back over to my Word document. I'm going to refresh it. So if you refresh it, then it updates your changes. So anything that you did over in Zotero, it's going to update in Word. So that's really, I think, it's very convenient. I probably would go in and remove this because for some reason it thinks that my book is, I'm not really sure what it thinks it is. So I'm going to have to do some work on that. But again, I can use it, I can fix it in Zotero, and then, 3 articles from now, if I cite this article again, then the citation is going to be correct. So I think it's pretty quick and easy to use with Microsoft Word. It does work with Google Drive, but it's more basic. It will actually allow you to drag citations into a Google Doc and do all that fancy updating. It's kind of static, but it is possible to use Google Docs to collaborate, so you can use it with Google Docs as well. But this is much more robust. One other time that I will point out about, so because it is open source, if you have a question about how a library somewhere has made a video, do it. Your librarian is very happy to help you with these things, but also there are lots of other, there are librarian step-by-step instructions and all those sorts of things. There are also forums. Official Zotero forums where things happen sometimes, but if you Google an issue that you're having with Zotero, I bet somebody else has had it, somebody else has solved it. So I like the open source aspect of it because of that, because that's where support is available out on the internet. Okay. Just to recap, we talked about, how to set up an account, the two parts, the standalone and the browser extension. And it does work with, I didn't mention this, it does work with other browsers. There's one for Firefox, Safari. Let's see, the list is somewhere. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Zotero connectors for other browsers. So Firefox have browser connectors the same way as the one that I showed you today. So we talked about how to get PDFs in, how to get books from the catalog, databases, tweaking things inside Zotero, and just a quick overview of how to use it with Word. So, whew, that's a lot. What questions do you have?
I think it's great. Thank you so much for walking us through this today.
Sure, thank you. And again, like I said, if you if you're interested and you want to learn, sit down with somebody, have them just kind of help you get it all set up, contact your librarian. If you're not sure who your librarian is, but if you don't, you can contact me. We'll type my email address in so that you can. I'm also in. But yes, we're here. We're here all summer.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you everyone for coming. And again, if you want to refer back, you can.